Today, when we hear the name Apple, we instantly think of the iPhone, MacBook, iPad, AirPods, and one of the most powerful companies in the world. But what if I told you Apple didn't begin in a billion-dollar office? It began in a small garage with two young men, limited money, and one crazy dream. No luxury, no giant team, no worldwide fame. Just passion, risk, and a vision to change the future of technology. So how did Apple really begin? What problems did they face in the early days? What important decisions changed everything? And how did a garage startup become one of the biggest companies in history? Today, we're diving into the incredible story of how Apple's journey began. And trust me, the beginning is far more fascinating than you think. Every legendary company begins with people who dare to think differently. There were people like that for Apple too. He had bold ideas, strong vision, and believed technology could change people's lives. Often called Woz, was the genius engineer. He loved electronics and could build incredible machines from scratch. They met through a mutual friend and quickly became close. Why? Because both of them were obsessed with technology. Before Apple even existed, they worked on a project called the Blue Box. It was a device that could make long-distance phone calls for free. It was risky, controversial, and definitely not legal. But it taught them something important. Together, they could build something powerful. That small project planted the first seed of Apple. In the 1970s, computers were nothing like today. They were huge, expensive, and mostly used by big companies. Ordinary people didn't have computers at home, but believed that should change. He designed a simple personal computer board. When he saw it, he immediately understood its potential. And here came the first major decision. Instead of just sharing the design with hobbyists, they decided to sell it. That decision changed history. On April 1st, 1976, Apple Computer was officially founded by and a third co-founder named, yes, many people forget there was a third founder. But here's the shocking part. Sold his 10% share in Apple after just 12 days for only $800. Today, that would be worth billions. One of the biggest missed opportunities in business history. People often call Apple the garage company. And yes, it's true. Apple really started in the Jobs family garage in Los Altos, California. Their first product was called the Apple I. But it wasn't a complete computer like we know today. It was mainly a motherboard. Customers had to add their own keyboard, monitor, and case. Still, it was revolutionary for that time. Then came a huge opportunity. A local computer store called the Byte Shop agreed to buy 50 units. This was massive, but there was one big problem. They had no money to build them. This became one of Apple's first serious challenges. To raise funds, sold his Volkswagen van, and sold his scientific calculator. Imagine believing in your dream so much, you sell your personal belongings to keep it alive. That's exactly what they did. And thankfully, it worked. The Apple I started the journey, but the real breakthrough came with the Apple II in 1977. This was the product that truly changed Apple's future. Unlike the first version, Apple II looked polished and ready for everyday people. It had color graphics, a proper plastic case, and it was much easier to use. For the first time, families could imagine having a computer at home. This was revolutionary, but building a real company required serious money. That's when investor entered the story. He invested money, business strategy, and most importantly, belief. He believed Apple could become a Fortune 500 company. At that time, that sounded impossible, but his support became one of the most important turning points in Apple's history. Without him, Apple might have remained just a small garage startup. Apple started growing fast, very fast. More sales, more employees, more pressure, and much bigger decisions. By 1980, Apple went public. Its IPO became one of the biggest in history. Many employees became millionaires overnight. It was a dream come true. But success also created new problems. Inside the company, tension started growing, especially around, he was brilliant, but he was also intense, demanding, and difficult to work with. He wanted perfection, and sometimes that created conflict. As Apple grew bigger, leadership became more complicated. And this would soon lead to one of the most dramatic moments in business history. In 1984, Apple launched the Macintosh. It was bold, innovative, and it introduced a whole new vision for personal computing. Its famous Super Bowl advertisement became legendary. It wasn't just a product launch, it was a statement. But inside Apple, things were getting worse. Conflict grew between AD and Apple's leadership, especially CEO. Different visions, different leadership styles, different priorities. And then came the shocking moment. In 1985, Apple was forced out of Apple, the very company he had helped create. Imagine building your dream company and then being asked to leave it. It was one of the biggest setbacks in Apple's history. But strangely, it would later become one of the most important moments, because sometimes losing something becomes the beginning of something even greater. Apple's beginning was not easy. It was full of struggle, financial problems, risky decisions, leadership conflicts, and moments where everything could have failed. From a small garage to one of the biggest companies in the world, from selling a van and a calculator to changing how the entire world uses technology. That journey did not happen because everything was perfect. It happened because they believed in an idea before anyone else did. That is the true beginning of Apple. And maybe that's the biggest lesson. Great companies are not built by comfort. They are built by courage. They are built by people who keep going when things get difficult. So next time you hold an iPhone in your hand, remember, it all started in a garage. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Which company's origin story should we explore next? Because behind every giant brand, there is always an unbelievable beginning. See you in the next video.